Hey, KC3YWT Giovanni here. Today I'm going to be making a video on setting up DVSwitch and DVSwitch Mode Switcher. So DVSwitch is something that allows you to connect your node to different digital modes. Personally, I use DMR, and I've used it in a couple instances as a constant link to DMR, um, but you can do this with DMR, YSF, NXDN, I believe P25, and DStar. Um, and this is a great thing to have, and the mode switcher allows you to switch between those different digital modes without having to run commands. It gives you a nice dashboard, and then you can also connect to talk groups using that dashboard. So it's a really nice thing. And I do have another one of these very nice guides for it that I'll put down in the description. I recommend that you watch this video and copy and paste off that guide at the same time. It makes it very easy, very easy. So I'm gonna start with that. First, we're just gonna run ASL menu. I'll bring up this. Go to Node Settings, Allstar Node Setup menu, and then right here is the node I had previously set up in my past video on the Allstar node. So we're gonna go ahead and add a new node. And make this 1999 unless you are using 1999. If you're using it for something else you already have set up, use 1998, 1997. I like to stay within the 1999. It has to be below one. It has to be 1999 or below. But I like to have an order from 1999 and going down for each thing I have. But we're going to use 1999. Select none of the above. Then do not enter a password. Do not set a call sign. Here in radio interface, set this to USRP. Duplex type. Set this to half duplex with no telemetry, which is link. And you use spacebar to change it. So change that to number 0, and then hit enter, and then select half duplex. And that is all we need to do. So then you can hit back. It is now listed here. Go back again. It wants you to restart Asterisk, so you can go ahead and do that. And then we're going to exit out of here. Now we're going to install DVSwitch. So we're going to run the next couple commands. And actually, we're going to do this. I'm going to remove that. Just so there's nothing there. As you can see, I run the list, and it's not there. I'm actually going to do this in the opt directory. I like to keep things neat. There's nothing in there now, but I'm going to run that in here, so I can keep things nice and neat and I know where everything is. Then I'm going to chmod that, make it executable. Then run that. And then give it a minute here. It shouldn't take too long. Let's see what it does. Okay. If it takes too much longer, I'll just pause the recording. Not make you sit through that, but this one should be quick. Once we actually install DVSwitch, it'll be pretty slow. Okay, should be about done. Alright, any day now. Alright, I'll go ahead and pause the recording then. I'll make you sit through that. Alright, this is done here. I just wanted to mention that if you have multiple private nodes on your system, make sure in rpt.conf you have each one using different ports. If you only have 1999 for DVSwitch as shown in this video, then you are fine. You don't have to change any ports. But if you have more than one other than your main Allstar node, if you have like 1999 and 1998, you need to make sure they're on different ports. But now that this is done, I just want to mention that real quick, because that could really screw things up. But next we're going to run apt update. And I haven't updated this in a little bit, so I'm going to run apt upgrade, just to make sure everything's up to date. And then this, as it said here, 16 packages can be upgraded. So this will probably take a minute or two. So I'll go ahead and pause the recording so you don't have to sit through that. Alright, so it has finished updating. I'm just gonna run this again to make sure that everything updated. It says all packages are up to date. So now we can go ahead and install DVSwitch. And this is going to take a bit. Hit Y here for yes. So I'll go ahead and pause the recording again, not make you sit through this. And I'll be back when it's done. Alright, DVSwitch is now done installing. Before we start configuring DVSwitch, you need to go to radioid.net. And if you don't have an account and a DMR ID, you need to do that and apply for one. Here is my dashboard here. You can see I have a DMR ID and I have an NXDN ID. And this is part of the DMR ID. It allows you to connect hotspots. That's part of what we're going to be doing. And once you do that, you need to apply for a Brandmeister account. And once you do that, you need to go do self-care when you're logged in. You need to set a hotspot password here. And you need to do the same on TGIF, TGIF.network. You need to create an account on there and go to user security and just keep that tab open because you'll have to copy that. You'll have to copy that password over. So as long as you've done all of that, you should be good to go. And then if you want to set up DStar, and NXDN is optional, and if you're going to set up DStar, you shouldn't have to do anything with DStar, but you might have to do a little bit. But to configure DVSwitch, we need to run this to go into the directory that it wants us in, and then we're going to run it. Then it'll bring up this nice little menu. It looks a lot like the ASL dash menu. If you want to change language settings, I would assume no. I'm going to do no. It's already in English. And you want to do initial configuration. Call sign, and it is case sensitive, so I'll go ahead and do mine. Then your DMR ID, so you want to look at radioid.net if you don't know that. And mine is 3210178. And now you need to set it with a suffix. So this is your DMR ID, and this is your hotspot or device number. So the default is 11, but you can see here, you can choose anyone from 0 to 99. I'm already using from 11 to 13, so I need to go ahead and use 14 since I'm using the other ones up to there. Oh, and I forgot to get rid of the 11. So I'm going to put 14 in there. Then D-star module. I don't remember what I have mine set to, but you can just leave this as default. NXDN, if you have an ID, you can put it in there. For this instance, I'm going to leave it blank. USRP port, leave this blank. Just hit enter on that for the default, and then hit yes here. Then you need to select the closest Brandmeister server to you. For the US, 3102 is in Dallas, Texas. 3103 is in somewhere in California. And then 3104 is Chicago, Illinois. And that is the closest to me. I'm in Pennsylvania, so I'm going to go ahead and choose that. And then here on Brandmeister, that password you set in your self-care, you need to enter that in here. And I'm going to pause the recording here while I type it in. I'm obviously not going to show you my password. Alright. And then I doubt you have a vocoder. And if you do, then choose the correct option as needed, but I'm going to select no hardware vocoder. And then you want to hit enter here. Well, yes. Okay. Now you need to go to Tools, Configure INI Files, and go to analogbridge.ini. Alright, and then under USRP, right here is where you put the ports assigned to your private node number. I'm going to put in the defaults, assuming you only have one private node, which I had you create 1999. If you're using just 1999 for this, and you don't have anything else using those private node numbers, then just go ahead and what I do here. If you have another private node, there's a lot more you'd have to do. Again, if you need help with that, because you already have something else set up, shoot me an email, leave a comment. Email is probably the best way, rather than using the YouTube comments. Yeah, I can help you out with that. Okay. So I changed the ports here. And then I believe this is DVSwitch going back to Allstar. And then I believe this is Allstar to DVSwitch. Yeah, it says it right here, digital to analog. So this is DVSwitch to Allstar. And I like to adjust this because it's usually a little low. So I'm going to do audio use underscore gain. Make sure it's all in caps. And then I'm reading here. I usually set this as 2.0, but you can adjust it as needed. That is all we need to do here. So I'm gonna exit out of here. And then, if you want to have a DVSwitch dashboard showing what you're connected to, what you're receiving off of, I think it's nice to have, but you'll have to exit out of that and then run this line. Then give that a minute. Shouldn't take too long. Alright, and it says that it's done. And now, if you go to the IP address or host name of your node, however you have it set up, /index.php, it'll bring up this dashboard here, and you can see it's connected on DMR, and then it also automatically calls out on DStar if you have that set up. And I believe it also works with port 8080. Okay, no, I was wrong. So just use index.php. But this is a nice dashboard, and once you start using it, all the activity it'll show up on these. And I like to have it. A lot of people don't like it. A lot of people say it's pretty buggy, but I've found that it works fine. Okay, and next we're going to install DVSwitch Switcher, which will allow you to switch between these modes from a dashboard rather than having to run commands. And I'm not showing the commands in this video, but I'm going to start installing that. So first it has you install all these things, make sure it's updated, and then install Git and Node.js, which is something, I forgot to copy the S there, but that's something, these two things are things that it uses to install. So I'm going to run that. And Git and Node.js are probably not installed. And I think it says there, yeah, Git is not installed. So that's going to take a little bit of time to install there. This is going pretty quick, but Node.js will probably take a bit longer. So I'll pause the recording and I'll get back to you when it's done. Alright, so that has finished now. It is installed. So now we're going to cd into the op directory. And if you ls that, you can now see that it has all the files for DVSwitch. And now we're going to go ahead and add this switcher to that list. So we've done that. Copy over the switcher. Then we need to go into that directory. Run that. Then run this long line. And on the on my instruction doc, it does look like that is 2 lines. It is 1 line. Make sure you do the whole line, or it will not work. And this is also its own line. So make sure you do these 2 lines correctly, as I showed there. These are some weird things I'm not familiar with. But I'm just going off the instructions and running each command as it says. And I am copying and pasting straight off my instructions. Okay, it's having us copy that. Copy that. Now install something. Alright, and you can see the security warnings there. Those are normal. Don't worry about these. That is normal. Ooh. Forgot the I there. I'm not sure what those do, but it wants us to run them. Then I'm going to run this. And that is enabling it to put out on that. And I believe that was it running. And then hit Control C here to cancel on that, because it's not going to do any more than that. The next lines we're going to run is going to make it so it runs on boot. So we're going to copy a file from there. Then reload it. Make sure it's detected. Then we're going to enable the service file that is going to have it run on boot. And then we're going to start the service. So now, if you go to the IP address or host name and use port 3000, as I did here, hostname :3000, here is the dashboard. And you want to hit toggle dark mode. Okay. And then this is how you switch between different modes. I'm actually gonna try to split screen it here. I'm not on Windows 11, so I can't do it the nice way. And then I'm gonna open up the DVSwitch dashboard, just so you can see what's going on as I do it. But if I'll drag that over a little more. And if I switch to DMR, you gotta give it a second. It does take a second. It's not gonna show DMR since it's already connected. But YSF, for instance, if I'm gonna connect to Parrot here, and Parrot is when you talk out and it sends it back, so you can hear yourself. But now you can see that it is linked. And there is no activity. I'm gonna connect it to a local repeater just so I can show you the activity. So give me a second. Alright, and something real quick I need to go over. To use DVSwitch, to have it connected to your Allstar node, which has Echolink on it, if you set that up. But you can connect Allstar to local repeaters. And then to use DVSwitch, you need to connect it to 1999. And 1999 is the link from Allstar to DVSwitch. So if you're not connected to that on Allstar, you will not be linked to DVSwitch. DVSwitch is running, but nothing is connecting between them. So no audio would be passing. But now, I'm going to go ahead and connect to a local repeater, and then I'll be able to show you the audio passing through. So I went ahead and did that. Then, if I key up on the local repeater, it should show up on the DVSwitch dashboard. Okay, and it did not. I haven't rebooted for a while, so I'm gonna reboot, and I'll be back. Okay, so I just rebooted, and then I'm gonna go ahead and switch it back to YSF, connect to the parrot. You can see it's linked there. So I also have 1999 linked to my Allstar node. So DVSwitch, the audio is linked, the bridge is linked. So now, since I am connected to YSF, all the audio should be passing from Allstar to YSF, and since I'm using Parrot, it should shoot right back. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on the RX monitor. Now this only works for things coming from DVSwitch, not things coming from Allstar. But if I go ahead and key up on a local repeater, you will see it show up on the DVSwitch dashboard. Alright, and you can see that it was transmitting over onto YSF. And now, that is the parrot coming back. Okay? So, it transmitted it out to YSF on the parrot, and then it sent it back. So if I actually go ahead and talk, that should be done by now. I think it'll just be stuck on listening to YSF, but if I go ahead and talk, you should hear it come back. So, KC3YWT testing.
KC3YWT testing.
Alright, yeah, and you should have heard that. But it received it back from YSF.
KC3YWT testing.
So that was working, and I guess it did play over when I first keyed up. But that is working. And hopefully no one answers me. But yeah, you could see that is working. Now, to use DMR, I'm going to go ahead and go back to full screen mode. To use DMR, right here, you need to go to your TGIF, and you need to go to the user security, and you need to copy that password right there. So, for example, my password 12345, and then leave the rest of this. Do not change that. And then same thing with here. It's 12345. Okay? Then hit save. And then you need to put your different talk groups you want to connect to here. So yeah, I'll do 4000, and I'll label that Brandmeister talk group 4000. You need to make sure you distinguish between TGIF and Brandmeister, because they are different things, they are different talk groups. So to use the different ones, go ahead and go back. I switch to DMR, And now I'm going to run disconnect 4000 to make sure it's disconnected from everything. And I actually did not do that on YSF. So I'm going to go back to YSF, and it's actually not an option. If it's not an option, that means it does it on its own. It means you don't have to do anything. But I switched back to DMR there. I'll run disconnect one more time. But you can see that it ran it there.
Not linked.
And then it said not linked. And then if I go ahead, if I want to use Brandmeister, this will only work if you have your correct password in there. But I'm going to switch to Brandmeister, and it's not connected because I did not put in the password. I'm not going to, because I don't want to show my, well, you know what, yeah, I'll go ahead and do it. I changed it there, so now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 should work. I'm gonna give it a minute. I'm gonna switch back to the DMR. I'm gonna run disconnect. Well, and I gotta be in full screen. You want to make sure for Brandmeister you put in your closest Brandmeister server. So mine is 13104. So I'll update that just to make sure you get a good strong signal. But I'll go ahead and switch back to DMR. Run disconnect. Alright.
Not linked.
I'm going to select Brandmeister. And I'll go ahead and put an actual Brandmeister talk group in there. I'll save that. And every time you refresh or leave the page, it will drop everything. We're going to disconnect, and then I'm going to select that I want to use Brandmeister.
Not linked.
Okay. I selected Brandmeister, and it should show up here in a couple seconds. Yep, you saw it there. And since I switched that number to 4, it's now using 3104. And then I'll go ahead and select the talk group, and I forgot to update the name, but it should connect to that. And then give it a minute here. And then once someone keys up, it will switch over, so I'll go ahead and do that. And you can see there that when I keyed up, it keyed up to that talk group that I had it connect to. So this method allows you to use DVSwitch to connect to all these different digital modes. You can use DVSwitch as just a permanent link to one of these modes, usually just DMR. You can do different ones though. But this method allows you to just use it to be able to talk on these different digital modes. If I open up this wonderful app here, DroidStar, it's a great thing, and I switch it to DMR. So I'm just connecting to it on my end. Alright, so something with my app is actually, there's something wrong with it. It won't let me connect to it. But if I would key up on the DMR side, since I'm using DMR right now, I would be able to it would come through the node, and then it would cross back through Allstar as long as you had 1999 connected. But that is all I have for the video. I like DVSwitch a lot. It's great to have. This is a lot like PyStar. And I guess, well, it's a lot like PyStar, except it's linking it to Allstar. PyStar can probably do that if you want it to, but this is on one system. And then this can be used as a permanent link to one of these digital modes too. So that's something that PyStar, you could probably set it up to do it, but this is the easiest way. Yeah, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe. I don't care about post notifications. You do you, man. And I'll have some more videos on some of this stuff in the future. Thanks for watching. If you had any problems, questions, leave a comment or email me. My email is all over the place. It's all over that Google Doc with my instructions, and it's in the description. But yeah, thanks for watching, and maybe check out another video at some point. Or come check out my channel in a month or so and see if there's any more videos on Allstar and things like that that could help you out. Thanks, and KC3YWT.